low on most people's priority list? Anybody?
Time.
Time. Because other things are a higher priority. Okay, I mean, that's sort of what I hear you saying.
Exactly.
What does that mean?
Just means that there are certain things that press on us.
Oh, I see, okay.
That we think we
The urgent things squeeze out the important things. I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. But it's important, yeah, that's important, but I have to do this now. And many of us live in the urgent, and it squeezes out what's important. This is important. This becomes urgent. When? When does seeking God become urgent?
When we're in chronic pain.
Crisis. Tried everything else.
When the circumstances dictate it. Oh, I gotta get hold of God now. It's urgent, right? And then it's, you know, what are we doing? You know. I think, okay. Why else? Why is seeking God low on most people's priorities? What else? What else you got to talk about?
It's very rarely instant. It's not, bam, I prayed and I got my pie now. You have to wait.
I was going to say, I forget often that you don't reap what you sow in the same season.
Absolutely. You don't reap what
We live in a society that's like totally about instant gratification of some sort or another.
This trek for these wise men, these magi, it took years. We seek God, we want, I don't know, some sort of thing now. We live in this instant society. That's absolutely correct. We want fast food Jesus
With drive-through convenience.
with drive-through convenience. We want fast food Jesus.
Supersize it.
Yeah.
Just hope the fries ain't stale.
Other things are more worth our time. So our understanding of God and His ways are low. They're not as clear for us. They're not as, we don't necessarily believe them. When in the past were you motivated to connect with God?
Our group said when it was urgent. Basically what came up. It was urgent things.
When there's something
So
that's
then, when we really want to get a hold of God, it's not about God, it's about us.
Right. It's not heartfelt.
Did you hear what the Magi said? We want to find this one who is King of the Jews so that, why did they want to do that?
So we can come and worship.
So they could come and get something from Him, right? No! So they could come and worship. You know you're seeking God when it's not about you. You're coming to God for God, to worship Him. That means you're really got a hold. God is paramount in your life. Seeking God for God. Wow. How do you get there? What makes seeking God so difficult? What makes seeking God so difficult?
It's not viable like other things are around you. You got family, you got friends, people I see. There's stuff that I, can make a purchase on or something like that. He's not viable. Not mental. It's not a physical.
Okay. He
See him.
doesn't seem real. As real. Doesn't seem as real. I mean, we have to admit these things, right? We're never going to get beyond it until we admit, other things are much more real and vital than money. God's really not the reason is not my reality. Other things are much more real. So that's why I mean, can you imagine these guys, man? Like I said, what are you going to tell your wife? Oh, man, there's a star in the east. We're going. I don't know when we'll be back.
They probably thought they were looking for concubines.
They had no idea. But, I mean, here are these guys. And then the Jewish scholars in Jesus' own badges can be far from God. You can be some mystic from the east and know God. Number two. Well, the first one. The first one is God reveals himself to those who seek him. Next, God increasingly speaks to those who listen to him. How many want to hear God? He will increasingly speak to those who listen. I think we understand that. I'm having a conversation with Chris. He doesn't listen to me. I'm not going to increasingly speak to him. It's a simple concept. Call somebody on the phone, they really don't talk to you. I'm not going to call them the phone anymore. This is dead on the other. I will
Well,
increase.
if I'm speaking to my kids and they ain't listening to me, I start speaking louder.
Sometimes it says that God speaks loudest and screams to us in our pain. And so,
I heard he whispers in our pleasure, maybe screams in our pain.
yeah. And sometimes the only way that God can get a hold of us is to allow certain things to enter our life that causes us, that he screams at us to get our attention. It's true. God increasingly speaks to those who listen to him. This is Jesus speaking in John 10. The sheep hear his voice and pay attention to it. And knowing that they listen, how do you like this? He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out to pasture. Knowing that they listen. And when he brought all his own sheep outside, he walks on ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice and recognize his call. I believe if we would absolutely know God's voice, I think we have inklings of what he says, and then he talks to us at a certain moment, at a certain point in time, and then 4 days later, I don't know if that was God. Was that God? Maybe. And knowing that they listen, he calls his sheep. I like this passage in Mark 4. Jesus says, "For whoever has a teachable heart, to him more understanding will be given." Whoever has a teachable heart, more understanding will be given. And whoever does not have a yearning for the truth, even what he has will be taken away from him. So, have you experienced this? At once you are closer to God, and even what you had, you don't have anymore. You don't even have it anymore. Because we've become hardened, not a teachable heart. Okay, let's get back in our groups. Here's some of the questions. Share an occasion when you knew God was talking to you. It's easier to hear God when what? When what happened? What most prevents me from hearing God is I would make time to listen to God if. Great question.